Hopefully it's not seized up or anything. Completely locked up. Ugh. Hey, so I'm currently out at our lake property, and we have this tractor that's been sitting here for quite a few years. Obviously has not moved in a while, and I've traded it with my dad for a little bit of work. But just here's a look at it. This is a Farmall 140 industrial, so that's why it's all painted yellow. But I figured it would probably be pretty useful out at my place if I can just get it going. This one was made in 1962, according to the number here on this serial number on here. Needed to put a new belt in. Hopefully it's not seized up or anything. Wow, there's still some fluid in there. A little bit slimy. Smells like coolant, but wow. Okay, so there's a little bit of coolant in there. This one currently has, I think, an 8-volt battery in it. I'm not sure if I want to get an 8-volt or a 6-volt. Reading up about it, it sounds like it won't damage the system, but they recommend using a 6-volt since that's what the system was originally designed to use. Hopefully our starter's still good. Got a nice sickle mower on the system. That's oil, I think. Here's the PTO. Right now it's engaged. Disengage is like this. And I can't seem to turn it. The tractor is, again, in neutral, so... Wow. That is not a good sign. This thing. I guess what I'm gonna need to do is open up those cylinders and like spray a bunch of oil in there if the engine's actually locked up, which I'm pretty sure this means the engine is locked up because if the tractor is in neutral and the clutch is still engaged, then the engine should act as a power unit and just run the PTO. So yeah, I think I'm right. I think that this is how the engine is right now. Completely locked up. Ultra flat, look at that. This is not going to be as easy to get going as I first hoped. So this just keeps getting more and more discouraging, sad. I don't think this is actually going to be very easy. I thought it would be pretty easy. Just loosen this here. That's like water. Take off that spark plug and look in there. See if it's like full of water and rust. Yep. Look at that rust and water sitting in this cylinder. That is not good. So I think that's the locked up one. So back at the shop, decided to real quick just open up the carburetor and get some degreaser going on it. Okay. Day number 2. Wow, that looks horrible. It's like turned all green and crusty. Anyway, clean the carburetor good. Get that nice and blown out. Then I'm probably going to go to work for the day, but hopefully I can get over there sometime today and put some stuff into the cylinders. Just thought I'd come over here, take out the spark plugs and spray some oil in there. I'm actually just going to use some like penetrating oil. I just scraped the skin off my finger. We'll let this sit. I think it's day 3. Okay, so I just took off our cover here. Pretty dirty, needs to be cleaned, and that gasket is not in very good shape either. Seems to have separated. Seems like some kind of quirky gasket. The camshaft is down there. So this is just an OHV engine, overhead valves, and then we got our camshaft down there that pushes these push rods up and down. So I think I can take this off with no trouble. These push rods just kind of like sit there. Guys, I don't know anything about this. Okay. Thankfully everything there seems pretty well oiled. Let's have a look at one of these push rods. Nice. Sitting right down into oil. Yeah, so I decided I am just gonna pull out these arms. They should all be the same length. There we go. Yeah, I don't think that was a very good choice. I'm sure everyone who is a little bit more experienced with the International Harvester C123 engine is laughing at me right now. Oh boy. There it is, removed. Yeah, this looks really bad. I'm not sure what water was already in the cylinders. I think a lot of that liquid you're looking at is coolant. By a lot, I mean probably most of that liquid you're looking at. Huh?
Ruben, do you think you can get this started?
I've been working on it for a long time, so I sure hope so. So I found a little block of wood to pound this cylinder. I want to get it pounded down a little bit so that I can continue to clean up all the area that got rusted. It's cleaning up a little bit better than I expected actually, which is a relief. I think it's moving, which is amazing. Oh my goodness. It's moving. Seems to have smoothed out again. Oh my goodness. We might be able to actually rescue this engine yet. So Simeon's helping me out. He's gonna fill up the tires for me. We have the air compressor going. And we're back to clean this. Went back to the shop. Turns out my dad actually has a special tool for honing cylinders. So I'm gonna use that, which is really nice, to evenly hone that cylinder. Just don't lose those bolts and stuff.
Yeah, I know, I'm putting it
Might be easier from the other side of that. Yes. Doesn't it feel amazing?
So nice to get this running. You think it will? Ruben?
I sure hope so. I don't really know yet. There could be a lot of other things wrong still.
What is that bolt? Okay, now it's kind of like
smooths out the cylinder walls. Suck up all the coolant. So see these holes? These are not supposed to have any liquid in them.
I got it.
Stuff. Okay, don't push it then. I'm not sure how we're gonna clean down in there because we need to kind of like scrub it.
If only these were like bolted together and we could just take the top off.
Yeah.
Maybe we can. Oh yeah.
No, we can't.
Oh, you can't?
Yeah, we can't.
Why?
It just holds us to this.
Oh.
This is the cylinder, again, that I think is stuck. The one that was letting water in or something for eons, and it's pretty rusted. So since I was a knucklehead and opened that up while it was still full of coolant, and that coolant dumped everywhere, it got down in here where the push rods go, and it also got into these bolt holes that shouldn't have any coolant in them. So you can see this hole and this hole are for the coolant. I can still see the coolant down in there. This one is for one of the bolts that hold the engine together. So what I got is a piece of tubing, a shop vac, and I'm using them in conjunction with one another to suck up all the stuff that I didn't want to suck up in the first place. So I'm having these guys try to clean the fuel tank. Simeon got the sediment bowl clean, he claims. Oh wow, that is beautiful. How's that, Johan?
He's busy scratching off all the paint.
Oh, you can leave the paint on. Try to get this clean, because
Can I scrub it?
this piece is very important that this part gets clean.
Ruben,
And then we gotta figure out if the gas is even able to get from the gas tank right now through this, because if it can't get through there, then we're gonna have to work on it some more.
Oh.
All right, go ahead. It's probably at the point where they're...
That's gonna be just fine.
Oh good, they can move now. For a couple of them that were stuck, got them unstuck. My only concern is these two. Hopefully they seal. Here's the thermostat. Hopefully this is okay. So I'm gonna put the head gasket on, then I'm gonna set this on, then I'm gonna drop those bolts in, probably tighten them all down good. Then I'm going to put the rocker arm back on after I get, I'm gonna put in these nice things first. Then I'm gonna put the rocker arm on. And yeah, it should go well, I hope. I got the engine all put back together. When I was finished with the engine, decided to move on to the electrical, found that the 6-volt battery that I have with me didn't fit up in here. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just move it. So I moved the wire that goes to the frame of the tractor and the battery to there, and tried starting it, and nothing happened. Oh, and I also cleaned out a big mouse nest in here and repaired a bunch of wires that were destroyed. So I was like, well, I guess I should pull off the starter and try to figure out what's wrong with that. So I worked on pulling this off here. Finally got it off, and look at this. Ugh. Those mice. It is full of insulation. The mice like jam-packed this entire thing with insulation. So I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. See if I can get the starter to work. Don't do nothing. Yeah, so pretty easy to tell why the gimbal and stuff in here or whatever was not moving. Look at that. Those mice. Found out you can take off this little bit. You can see part of the flywheel flex plate. But the rest of this is just like oil soaked, pee soaked. Oh, it's just disgusting. So I got it taken out, the rotor for the starter, and I think this thing's called a gimbal, I'm not sure. Anyway, I need to clean all the rust off of all this now, and out of the inside of here, put it back in. Sucked out as much stuff on the flywheel out of the mouse area as I could for now, but happily, it does crank now. So if you have to pull it pretty hard. So I think today is day 5. It is early in the morning. Ben came with me this time. An 8-volt battery, so it has a little bit more cranking power. And then we got new spark plugs. I'm just gonna use water in the coolant system for now, because I intend to flush it out really well before I actually put coolant in it. Yesterday I bought new oil and new coolant, and I went with a non-detergent oil so that any of the junk that's stuck on the inside of the engine won't break loose. I don't know obviously what kind of oil was used in this prior to this moment in time, so I think it's also the safest way to go.
Don't crank yet. I can't decide if I think I'm going to see spark or not. I kind of don't really feel like I'm going to see spark, but maybe.
Yeah, certainly hope so. Okay, ready?
Yep. No spark right there.
I'm guessing they just have one ground wire going back up to there. Probably this one.
So if it's shorting it out, then...
Yep, that's probably all we have to do probably is disconnect it from there.
Oh wow, oh yeah, because that's the coil, or this is like the one coil pack sort of thing, right? That's what
yeah, and
the
then
really
these are the points. It looks like a...
Is it timed to something? Oh yeah, it's timed to this. So power comes from the cap and rotor to here,
Which is this thing?
which is timed based off of that. Right? Is that timing stuff in there?
I think so. I can see some stuff in there.
So 12 volts or 8 volts comes from here to here, and then it amplifies it to boom, spark.
Yeah, and then let's decide which one it goes to.
I mean, don't crank yet. You weren't even close to the tractor yet. I was already saying, don't crank. Spark? No spark there. I mean, not on that plug right now. Should we do the, hey, you should do the analog test.
What's that?
Where you hold your hand on the spark plug wire.
I'm almost willing to do it right now.
So, that would be your best bet.
The analog test?
Analog just means you're doing it like physically, I think. Or like, it refers to video signals, actually. Old video signals. Don't do it through your heart. Short your hand to the frame.
It's like 3,000 volts at a trillionth of an amp.
Yeah, but don't do it through your heart.
I'm not intending to.
Are you, okay.
No spark.
Oh, it's scary.
I probably have to buy all this stuff new.
Oh, that might need to be cleaned. So inside of the cap, there's a bunch of sap that is nasty, or it's hornet spit or something. So we're gonna clean that out and we'll be back.
I don't know what to do. I'm feeling rather discouraged, actually. I just don't know where the spark's going. I had to order some parts and I was gone for a weekend, so it's actually a Thursday morning. Decided to work on it early. Here's what we got. This just came in the mail. Got new wires, new plugs, a new coil. Hopefully, when we are done with installing this new system, hopefully we have some spark. Would you look at that? I didn't even know about this stuff. Wow. Alright, so something remarkable happened. I actually wasn't even recording because I didn't expect anything remarkable to happen. But I got the wires all put on and stuff. And I did dump in a little bit of gas, but it was kind of leaking. And I hooked up this other 6-volt battery briefly. And then I turned it over and it started instantly. I wasn't expecting it to start at all. I mean, I couldn't believe it. So I started it. Not on camera for the first time. The first time it started. And then I shut it off. I knocked one of the battery cables off. But we're gonna start it up again here in a minute. I want to add in a little bit more fuel. So that's our clutch. Just trying to get that so it's kind of out of the way. All right, here we go. So now it's choked. The battery might be a little weak. nice to know. Real quick. I'm very excited about this. I'm not exactly sure what to do about this clutch being stuck. Alright, so we are about to take the oil out. Just loosen the plug on here. I was curious what it's gonna look like. Ugh! That is water and stuff. That is really bad. Oh. It's about to overflow. Or maybe it's water? Didn't overflow yet. Oh man. That is so nasty. It's like paint. Could you go get me a rag? Thank you. I'm really not sure what to expect when I pull this off here. What's that here? Oh, there we go. So it was still threading. It looks pretty good though. It's not like rusty or anything. It's kind of fun. I'm getting to do all these things I've never done before. Just wanted to kind of look up in here a little bit more. You can see the camshaft. Right up there, those are droplets of oil sitting on there. And all that reddish stuff I've decided is actually paint. It's not rust. Which is nicer sounding. Actually looks pretty good up in here. See the bottom of the piston there? I'm not sure how to tell if the stuff is wearing much, but it looks pretty good to me. To the untrained eye, it looks great. So, I'm happy with it. It sits like this. Oh, and then I got the pan all wiped out too. Oh, that's so great that that works. So I think the oil change was a success. I actually drove this thing around the yard a little bit, but I put a bunch of like oil all over to try to kind of clean it up, hopefully to get it so that it wants to come loose. So I slammed, sitting up here, I slammed on the brakes pretty hard while I was going forward to see if that sudden like extra pressure that the engine had to work against would break the clutch loose, because I have the clutch very firmly tied down, and instead the brakes actually got stuck all the way forward, which bogged down the engine and killed the engine. Working on the tractor here, and I'm getting ready to do the very intimidating thing, which is splitting it. Here's my setup. I've got a cherry picker, and I've got a load leveler on here, so hopefully I can change the angle of the front of this if need be. The tractor is really stable because it has a super wide wheelbase on the back, and then holding it up there at that one point makes it like a nice strong triangle. It's not going to go anywhere. So some of the next things that I ended up having to unhook on here made a mess. Namely the hydraulic system. So here's what I was running into, alright? So you've got your hydraulic pump located right here, and that has two lines coming off of it, a supply and a return, going back up to here. I knew that the fluid would drain out if I took this off, but I didn't want to lose the prime in the pump, because then I don't really know how I would fix that. So what I did was loosen these 3 9/16 inch bolts, and then pulled on this, and boom! Like a big explosion of oil went everywhere, because apparently that system was still under pressure a little bit. So it kind of made a mess. Also, in order to do that, I had to unhook the starter arm that comes down here to the switch. And I unhooked the rod that goes up to the governor. I actually unhooked it up here because it's easier to get to, and it's going to have to sit by these lines anyway. The other thing that you're going to need to disconnect is the positive wire, well, negative actually in this case because mine's positive ground, on the coil, and then just pull that back. I already got the gas tank pulled, so that gas line normally would be right here. That's gone. And then on the back side, we have the choke. And then we've got these two wires that need to be disconnected. Pretty sure I have everything disconnected that I need to have disconnected at this point. And I'm just loosening it and I was starting to get this gap here starting to open up a little. So it's going to very slowly. It's tipping that way. Means our load needs to be lifting more here. So we're going to adjust this. Oh my goodness. I think we got it. We're going to see if the clutch bearing works. Okay, go ahead. Oh, good. Okay.
Does
Yep.
it retract or does it stay out?
It retracts.
Really?
Yep, it's working exactly as it should.
Does it trigger your memory at all?
Yeah.
Wow, this is
I don't know
crazy.
why.
So the mice like totally messed this up.
Oh, it's gonna bother me if I can't remember.
So yeah,
It kind of smells like the barn.
the tractor is in
I don't know.
the tractor's in half now. It looks so scary. Hopefully it goes back together again.
Just leave it like this for several months. Dad would love that.
Yeah. Alright, so I removed the bolts holding in the clutch, and they were really difficult to remove because it was extremely rusty. Used a combination of methods to try to get them off this 1/2-inch socket, and I actually did something horrible. I ground it so that I could get it on to the nut all the way and not risk rounding it off. And then I used a torch actually a little bit to heat the heads of them. I really don't know how this is supposed to come off here. There it is. So I think basically all I gotta do is clean off all the rust and like mouse stuff that's stuck in there. And then I think it would probably work again, actually. Not really sure if this is the plate that goes between them. Here, this might be stuck too. Here it is. Here's how it looks without it. I cleaned off the pressure plate or whatever that goes in the middle with the grippy stuff on it. And I think it's going to be okay. It's got rust kind of stuck on it, but I'm thinking that it'll probably come off. And now I'm going to use a little muriatic acid and let this soak overnight. So it's looking pretty good. I put it into a solution of muriatic acid and water, pretty dilute, to get it all cleaned off. It looks like this has actually got some copper components in the plate here, but it seems to have cleaned up really well, so I'm excited about that. And then the pressure plate is down there too, but I need to put on some gloves. And I'm just going to gently scrub it off with a brush and rinse it, and then I'll let it dry really well. I only let that soak for like maybe 4 hours, and the other piece I let soak all night because it had a lot of rust on it. You can see that the acid is still reacting with it. We've got bubbles coming up to the surface, probably like hydrogen bubbles or something. We gotta clean this off really well, clean off all the rust and stuff. Then I gotta clean out inside of here more and wipe off that pilot bearing, or throw out bearing rather. So there's a special tool that you're supposed to use to, you stick it into there and then you're able to center that clutch perfectly when you're putting it back in. But unfortunately I don't have that tool, but I think that I found a solution. So here I have a piece of, I think this is 3/4 inch copper pipe, and that fits nice and snugly right into that bearing. So this will center us, and I found this piece of what appears to be stainless steel, and that fits right inside here nicely, and then this fits over there pretty nicely, and I think that is going to keep it centered for us. Next thing to stick on here is going to be our pressure plate. Since this tractor is just a good old American standard tractor with nice standard bolts with it, I took these bolts, compared them to what we had in the shop, and they're the exact same bolt. And so I'm going to use these new bolts on here. Now, according to what I read, the bolts on here don't need to be torqued that much, so we're going to torque them to 15 foot-pounds. Now, you're not supposed to get any oil onto the clutch pad itself. But I'm gonna put a little bit on the outside of this piece here because it's right now quite dry. I don't want these springs to get all locked up again. So went ahead and began the tedious process of reinstalling all of the components that I'd taken off. Getting the tractor to actually line up and go back together was actually not quite as bad as I expected it to be. Still definitely took a while to get everything squared away and finally bolted, but I expected that it would have been a little bit more difficult. I probably should have replaced the little gasket in the hydraulic system, but I hadn't ordered one, so I just went ahead and bolted it up and figured that if it leaked, I would go ahead and get a different one. So far it's actually been fine, haven't had any oil leaking from there, so maybe I got away with just reusing that gasket. So I guess splitting a tractor isn't as scary as you'd expect, you just have to go ahead and do it. Ta-da! So now the halves of the tractor are back together again. Alright, so I think I'm ready to go. I just need to start it up and get out of here. Alright, I'm going to shift it into reverse. It's working. Works. I'm so happy. Alright, let's see. I've never taken it beyond first gear. Second gear. That's third gear. Doesn't like that fourth gear. I feel like such an idiot. I think I was running this engine with one of the spark plug wires firing completely at the wrong time. So I just looked at this old cap and rotor and I can tell where the wires used to go. Turns out I had 2 and 3 switched this whole time. So it was firing here, 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 here. Which is completely wrong. It's supposed to go boom, 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 like that. I'm excited to see if the engine runs a lot better now. It sounds so much better. Like, how does an engine even run when it's firing the wrong cylinders? How much of a difference that made. The engine sounds good. I don't even know how it can possibly run so improperly. I feel so dumb. Seriously, I cannot believe it could even run the way that I had it wired. That is unbelievable. I already checked the oil in these hubs right here and right here. Those are good to go. One of them actually had like no oil in it. This side had no oil. This side was basically full. Right up in here is the gearbox, transmission case, and the PTO. That I'm gonna change the oil on because I think it's probably pretty nasty. So this is the fill plug right on the top here, and The drain plug on the 140 is right here. I'm really excited to see what this oil looks like. Oh yeah, definitely got some water in there. Oh, okay. So, now we have some nice clean oil coming out of the inspection port. So this video, all the footage in this video was actually taken like I think in 2019, and I just never got it like actually edited into a video. I've had the tractor and used the tractor for some stuff. Believe it or not, it still needs work. The main bearing in that sickle mower that is on there needs to be replaced, so I'm going to be working on some more coming up here. But I had all the footage, didn't really want to throw away the video. I'm definitely not the expert when it comes to mechanical projects like this. I was really flying by the seat of my pants when I actually did this project. Didn't really know what I was doing, but I learned a ton through the project. Looking back on it, would I do it? Well, from a value standpoint, maybe it wasn't actually worth it because of the time and energy and expense to get it up and running again. But it was worth it for the knowledge, being able to understand that stuff and learn a lot. So anyway, hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you in the next video.